Remember when 3D games became a thing in the late 90s? Of course, right? It was magic. It's crazy to look back on the last 30 years of gaming and all the stunning innovations that have taken place. However, it's arguable that one of the most amazing changes to take place is the coming of VR. When you put that headset on, look down at your virtual hands, and get immersed in the world around you, it immediately becomes apparent that this is the future. Yet everything has its flaws, and one of the bigger ones of VR is the lack of community that a lot of games suffer from. It's scary after spending hundreds of dollars on a new gaming system to think that every game you're about to play might be a desolate wasteland. Thankfully, some games have flourishing communities, one of the bigger ones being Rec Room. And this is probably due to the core beliefs of Against Gravity. Rec Room is one of those games that came out in the beginning of VR that still lives on today. And although its name is clearly written in history, one could argue that it also deserves to be part of the future. But before it can be, the problems that currently exist within the game need to be addressed. Those of us in this field choose this path for a variety of reasons. We're creators, we're problem solvers, but above all, we are entertainers. That is, we enjoy sparking fun, amusement, and happiness in people. And in gaming specifically, you have the potential to impact a lot of people. A study conducted by the Entertainment Software Association shows that 64% of households have a gaming device, and there are an average of 2 gamers in each of those households. That's 80 million households with 2 gamers in each of them, making 160 million gamers in the US alone. That's 160 million people that we will potentially have an impact on. And it's essential for any game designer to know that the games we make are for those people. They're for the player, period. If you have no players, you may as well have no game. Thankfully, the VR industry has grown and is projected to continue growing. As it grows, other communities will inevitably form, which is a good thing. But as they do, I fear that better funded competition may attempt to replace Rec Room in the social space. While Rec Room is great for a long-lasting game, being as you can create all kinds of expansions, minigames, etc., before you can worry about such, you have to deal with the problems that detriment the community. The first and most obvious being trolls. Any community is going to have its trolls, but there are ways to combat and deter them. There are systems that can be implemented that take a lot of the work off of Against Gravity. Something that ties directly into this is the second problem, and probably the biggest problem on Rec Room's hands, and that's the abundance of underage players. A quick Google search will show you that this is the most common complaint from the Rec Room community. Combating underage players needs to be the #1 priority on Against Gravity's list, which is unfortunate because we'd all rather focus on something much more positive. However, during my time at Full Sail, I have learned about, designed, and implemented a variety of moderation and verification systems, and if given the opportunity, I could design and implement one based around the needs of Rec Room. A system based around giving administrative roles to the community members of Rec Room who have proven worthy, as well as a more concrete age verification system, could prove very useful in solving these problems. It turns out that a large portion of the trolling actually is a result of underage players, which is why dealing with them should be a top priority. After that, there of course will be some trolls left over and we'll have to deal with those as well, but from there, it's just the future. So where do we begin? What can we do right now to prepare for the tasks at hand? Well, it all starts with community. Not just the community in the player base, but the community of developers who work on the game. A community of people with a similar passion, a passion for serving the player, a passion for making a great community, is a force to be reckoned with. A force that will defeat all of its enemies and anything that stands in the way of fulfilling that passion. So let's build. Let's build a strong community of game creators who all share a similar passion for making people happy. And in doing so, we will keep the community of players alive and propel Rec Room, as well as Against Gravity, into the future.